And welcome everybody to the Between Two Wheels podcast. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 143. I'm your humble host, Tyler Janke. Thanks for joining us. Second week of the Vuelta. We're going to talk about the Tour of Spain and the general classification shakeout, how it's kind of come into form, who has legs for the last remaining week of the race. New segment, what would Jesus do? Transfer market update. We'll give you a few new additions since the last time we spoke. Northern California, NCNCA, some races that took place. We will go over some results on those, give you an idea, some things that make you go, some winners and losers. And what did Curt say? All coming up on the Between Two Wheels podcast. All right. Thank you once again, everybody. Appreciate you joining in. It's been a rough few months trying to after the tour. Look, after the Tour de France, I was a little blown away from doing almost daily updates and had a good time. Work schedule, kids back in school. It's just tough. Curt and Chris don't seem to be that interested in joining us. Trying to get them back in studio. Look, I love this. Vuelta has been going on. I've been really enjoying it, and so I thought we'd at least talk about that. However, last week we talked, episode 142, had some corrections that I might want to go through. I had talked about Jesus Herrada and his brother Jose Herrada. I had mixed the two up. Now, in my defense, I used the website steephill.tv, gives updates and all the results. They had incorrectly swapped Jose and Jesus up. So when I talked about Jesus doing the wrong thing, it was actually Jose. So if you don't remember, one day Jose gets in the breakaway, Jose Herrada. He totally royally screws it up, loses the race. Two continental Spanish teams beat it, go 1-2 for the finish. They win. The next day, Jesus, his brother, gets in the break, and Jesus is like, what would Jesus do? Here's what Jesus would do. And he does the exact right thing, wins on the day, beats Dylan Toynes. Thus, at the dinner table, they're going to say, hey, what would Jesus do? Jesus would win the stage. And rightly so. So, mixed up on that. Another one we talked about was Donegan Road Race. We had inadvertently said Eli Velez got second in that race, in the race of two Ellie's. Once again, that was not due to our inept abilities to read the results. That was due to the inept ability of the results to be correct. Ellie informed me that she actually won. She said she won it by a big margin, and she told them, so somehow they had her as second place. Great for her. And we will redeem her in the NCAA update page. In the updates as we do it on this, for the San Francisco Grand Prix or the Giro de SS. We'll talk about that race coming up. Michael Claudio. We talked about him out at Winters, posting up for 5th place. Look, I assume that he was making a joke. He confirmed so on the Facebook page. I think he didn't realize there was going to be a bunch of cameras there, and he came through. He'd done a long day. The break was gone all day long, so I totally get what he was doing, making a joke. You're kind of tired, and then what happens is his posts up were so dramatic that on some of the photography pages they used his image as it says, like the race podiums or posts up, and it showed him as the thumbnail for that. So. Embarrassment, I guess. Michael, no big deal. We all knew that you knew, and it was, it's just fun to joke about. And by the way, if I had been able to stay away for a lap like you had, maybe I'd do that as well. So congrats. One little comment I just saw with Curt is he had talked about this. This may be a good inquiry and it leads into our Vuelta coverage. Curt said yesterday, I like how the Vuelta makes Quintanna wear a green jersey because he's not on a team. Okay, so that may or may not be correct. I think the green jersey is a points jersey, but I do like how that comes across. Very funny. Okay, Vuelta stages 10 through 16. Look, we're going to have to do a deep dive maybe into Slovenia. So Slovenia, you got Primož Roglic, and now you have Tadej Pogačar, both of Slovenia, coming to the fore. As a matter of fact, in one of these stages, it's just them, 1-2, coming across the line and putting it down. Roglic is obviously a man that has potential. He's been, winning stages of the Tour. He can time trial like crazy. He's done very well in these 7-day, 1-week stage races. Not such a great Giro for him, but he was still third place. Comes into fourth place in the Tour of 2018. Didn't do the Tour this year, but 2019 Tour, he skipped it, and he's now doing the Vuelta, and he's leading. So obviously it's pretty exciting. Look, a very small country. Let's just give a little update of what he have here for. It covers 20,273 square kilometers. Not a big country. It's officially the Republic of Slovenia. It's a country located in southern Central Europe at a crossroads of important European cultural and trade routes. Is it? I don't know. That's what it says. It is bordered by Italy to the west, Austria to the north, Hungary to the northeast, Croatia to the southeast, and the Adriatic Sea to the southwest. Like I said, 20-some thousand square kilometers, about 7,800 square miles, population of 2.07 million. One of the successor states of the former Yugoslavia, Slovenia is a parliamentary republic and a member of the United Nations, the European Union, and of NATO. The capital in the largest city of Ljubljana. I don't know how to pronounce that, but evidently Slovenia, pretty country. Got some water, got some mountains, and it's got two really good riders. Okay, we'll start right off with that. Stage 10. Stage 10, we had left off. The Roglic was pretty much close on time. I'm trying to remember who was actually in the GC going into that stage. However, you had 36.2 kilometer individual time trial. Comes out, we had some notables. Will Barta of CCC, American, had set a good pace early on. He was looking pretty good. But then you had other guys start to come through. Tadej Pogačar, we'll just call him Pog. He lights it up at the first checkpoint, and he's going faster than everybody. And you're kind of thinking, it's because of the little climby stuff. He ends up fading. The winner of that day was Roglic. Paddy Bevan had been in the hot seat for quite some time. He was looking really good until Roglic came through. Roglic blew everybody away, puts up a great time. Lawson Craddock, another American, in fourth. Like I said, Pog was in 11th. He was the leader after the first time check. Will Barta, 17th. Some other notables on the day: Valverde, 13th at 1:38. Lopez, Superman, 2 minutes down. Nairo Quintana, 3:06. So some disappointments there, but Roglic really put the work in, and look, he was Ide. Was that the guy that was in the red leader's jersey going into that, or Valverde or Quintana? Actually, it was Quintana. I think Quintana was in the yellow and the red going into that, so he was suffering near the back. Pretty interesting TT. It's exactly what you expect from Roglic. He was never really able to do that in the Vuelta to that extent. Now, look, remember, he lost 40 seconds in the team time trial, along with Pogačar. Pog lost about a minute, I think, in the team time trial. So, those guys both came out of this fairly well. Stage 11, St. Powless to Erdax Dank. Look at these names. This is crazy. 180 kilometers. Winner there was Mikel Ituria. It's the Scotty Basque Country Murius. Barely won that over Jonathan Lastra, Kaju Ruel, and Lawson Craddock. So Lawson Craddock gets in the break of the day. I think maybe he has a good chance. And look, he's put up some, what did I say? He was fourth in the TT. He's third here. He actually gets another top 10 coming up in a few days. So GC Roglic still 152 over Valverde. Stage 12, big break, around 8 kilometers. Gilbert takes off and is chased by two Spanish Conti riders, Aramburu and Barcella, both of Cadriel and the new Scotty. He ends up staying away barely to the line. I mean, he ends up posting up, but those guys almost got him. It's his 10th Grand Tour stage win, and another one for Deceuninck Quick-Step. Roglic, nothing in the GC battle there, stays over 152 over Valverde. Gilbert, looking good. Look, we've mentioned he is going away from them. Is he going to the UAE? I'm trying to remember which team or CCC. I'm trying to remember which team Gilbert is going through. I think I have it down in our transfer market. We'll confirm, but obviously going away from Deceuninck Quick-Step. Deceuninck Quick-Step does have a guy in the top 20. James Knox, I think his name is. He's a Brit, and he's doing quite well. Look, that team is interesting. They're mostly their spring, save for Alaphilippe this last year. They didn't really have much in the way of who they've got for GC, but Knox seems to be a guy coming up. But they always manage to get their wins either in the sprints, in these little punchy stuff with Gilbert. I wonder who's taking the place of Gilbert next year. He got slighted on the Tour de France last year, so kind of was able to redeem himself. Stage 13, Bilbao to Los Machucos, 166 kilometers. This has a ridiculously steep finishing climb. I think it featured in the Vuelta that Chris Froome ended up winning now. Was that 2011, 2012? Where he just got it awarded to him. And they did it a few years ago where I think it was Stefan Denefeld won that over Contador, and then he consequently rode for Aqua Blue. He ends up getting this last year a drug suspension. So I don't know if he was tanked on something 2 years ago, but anyway, super steep climb, and you expect to have GC issues on this one as well. And what you actually had that. Pogacar ends up taking off, and Roglic is the only one that really stays with them. They end up with going 1-2 on the day. Roglic obviously is looking for a GC battle there, so I don't know if he lets Pog get the win, but the 20-year-old Slovenian over the more experienced, I'm not sure how old Primoz is. We can look at that as well. Pogacar really put the hurt on everyone, dropped them all. Roglic had no trouble getting with him and staying with him, doing the work, and basically trying to increase his lead for the overall. Coming in third that day was Pierre Latour. No, like Pierre Latour of AG2R. We need to have a conversation. Black shoes and white socks. I don't know if that's a good look. As a matter of fact, I think it's a bad look. But that's what Pierre Latour runs on his socks shoe combo. Not a fan myself. So it was actually good to see two white shoe, black socks guys beat him on the day, which were Pog and Rog and Pog. Jumbo Visma in second, UAE in first for the win. UAE, they had an interesting signing. We'll talk about that coming up. Valverde ends up fourth place, 27 seconds back with Quintana, Micah, Lopez, Kelderman. These guys coming in. Knox coming in 13th. Higuita for EF Education first, down there in 15th on the day. So the GC after the Los Machucos is Roglic with a 2:25 lead over Valverde. 3:01 in third place. Pogacar moves up 2 spots. Lopez down 1. Quintana down 1. Micah moves up. Ade moves up. Hagen, Carl Frederick Hagen of Lottie Sudal. Who? Yeah, you never see him there. So I think what happens is the stuff starts to hit the fan right away on these climbs. It shreds him out, but he's just close enough every day to that front group to hold on, to keep himself in the top 8. Kelderman, Dylan Toynes in 10th. Los Machucos, great stage. Stage 14, San Vicente to De La Barca to Ovida, 188 kilometers. Look, this one should be one for the sprinters. There's a Cat 3 climb kicker right near the end, and then the finish had a little pitch up to it. But in the end, Sam Bennett, Bora Hansberger, was able to stay in there. And as they're coming into the finish, this has had a lot of potential to be a devastating race for the GC favorites because there was a wreck inside the last kilometer. Took down Roglic, it took down Pogacar, it took down Valverde. However, I don't think, you saw some of them suffering a little bit the next few days, but it didn't appear that any of their injuries, like Roglic, went kind of just hit some stuff. He didn't really fall, put his hand down. I don't think the GC really had any problem. Although Lucas Medgic, he was taken to the hospital. I think he rides for Michelin Scott, and he was not. I mean, they were just a few hundred feet. I think maybe 500 meters from the finish, and he was not even attempting to get up. He just ended up riding into the ambulance straight off the race. So hope he's doing better. Speaking of off the race, we'll talk about that coming up. Stage 15, this was Sunday. This was Tineo to Santuario del Acebo, 154 kilometers, had 3 big climbs in it. Finish up to last 15 or so K, all kind of uphill with the official climb somewhere on the 10K mark. This one had a pretty good sized break in it. It ended up, Roglic just took control. His team took control, but what they did, they sent up the road Sepp Kuss. Sepp Kuss is sitting in the moves. He's not having to do any work. The idea is, hey, I'll be up here. If I have to slide back for Roglic, I will do so. However, they hit the base of that climb. They have like 5 minutes. So other guys start riding away, and he was given the green light. Sepp took off at the base. And man, we went through about 3 guys that were already up the road from their break that had kind of attacked just a little bit before the start of the climb, and didn't even look at him, just goes right through them and sets a really good time. He's got 2 chasers, Theo Gegenhardt and this another gentleman, not remembering his name, and they were not making much time. They were holding like 30, 20 seconds, right in that range. And then as you start getting to the last 2-3 kilometers, I think Sepp just turned on the gas more. I think he'd been kind of holding back, making sure he was fine. And he extended that lead out to almost a minute. And at the end, when he comes through, he's high-fiving the crowds, deep crowd there along the finish, barriered off. But he's high-fiving on the left, high-fiving on the right. He ends up with about 40 seconds over Gegenhardt. And with that, if he had been pushing all the way to the line, I think he could have kept it to about a minute. But it was pretty impressive. Down below on the lower slopes, they come into the final climb. Neilson Powless is on the front for Roglic. He's only on there momentarily before Valverde hits the front and attacks. Roglic goes with him. He's able to drop everybody but Valverde. Then Valverde is making sure that, because Nairo's not having a good day. So Valverde is on the front making sure he's not coming back to the group. Pogacar and Lopez have a bad day. They're not looking that great. Like I said, Sepp is looking great. Jumbo's looking great. Sepp's time, by the way, would have been the top 5 on the day of all the guys. Well, so it was. If you just timed him from the bottom, his was 5th best time of the day. That was very impressive because these other guys were swapping off. At no point did I see Sepp with anybody. As a matter of fact, he went through these guys right away. He didn't take a pull. He was solo the whole time. Roglic was on with Valverde. They were swapping poles. Theo Gegenhardt was with someone else. So Nairo, everyone else had someone else. They're setting pace, pulling. Sepp Kuss was not. Well done to the American. Well done to the University of Colorado native or alumni and native of Durango. So congrats to him. And, we saw this coming. Wins in Tour Utah convincingly last year. We talked about that. Won 2 stages. Comes to the Vuelta last year after the Tour Utah. And does really strong climbing in the first week and then just was dead tired for the rest. I mean, he admitted so. Goes into the Giro this year and to help support Roglic. The support for Roglic was missing. Remember, there was a day there where Roglic is getting near the final climb. They're coming down. They have a little pitch, and he gets a bike. We didn't sure if it was derailleur or something happened. He needed a bike change. His team manager is off in the bushes taking a leak. So they were not there for the team car. That caused a pretty significant gap for him having to wait. He had no teammates around him. So he was really limited. De Plus got sick right away at the Tour, the Giro, so he was not there for him. Sepp didn't ride that great. Look, but he's been really well supported in this Vuelta. Now, this is like the last chance saloon type of race for a lot of riders because he didn't have the Giro he wanted, although top 3 is pretty solid. Skips out on the Tour. Comes into this race, and Sepp is just really doing a good job because, Sepp has this great climb on stage 15, stage 16 when he needs him to be back doing support work. Not a problem, supporting him just fine and looks good. So stage 16 yesterday, Pravia to Alto della Cubiglia, Lena. That was 144 kilometers, 3 good climbs in there, good finishing one. Once again, we had another break in the day. There was, I want to say 4. Cavagna, was Gilbert maybe in there, Ricchesi, Knox, all of Dequani Quick-Step. So they were kind of tasked with taking the lead. There was a Astana rider. There was 2 of them up there, Fulsang and I want to say Sanchez. They were both up in the break as well. And as it turned out, Fulsang hit the bottom of the climb. His teammate took off. They kind of worked everyone out. They're kind of chasing with Gilbert. Do you think James Knox, who has been top 15 or so, would have, maybe he'd pull off a Sepp Kuss type of thing, but it wasn't meant to be. It was just, Fulsang is a great climber and great rider, so he sets out and he ends up just soloing out for the day, winning on the stage. And that climb was really unique because they're up in the Austrias, little section of the mountains over there that's just a little bit different and really rugged looking. This wasn't your steep pitch. The guys were big rigging this climb, and it was really a fast-paced climb, and Fulsang did a great job. Winner on the day, Fulsang from the break. Roglic just solidified everything. He ended up dropping Nairo. Then later he dropped Valverde. But who did have a little bit of a comeback was Lopez and Pogacar. They both were able to push the pace, dropping all those other guys, kept attacking. There's one point where Roglic is with them, and then they're attacking, and he's not going with them. But I think he just sat to kind of stay, because his big concern was Valverde. So he stayed with Valverde, and all of a sudden he sees that Valverde's not really doing it. He tacks back up. Next thing you know, he's with those two, and he just sits on for the finish. Really well done. You got... So Roglic we'll go here to what his actual overall is, to make sure that we see what his GC battle times are right now. We've got Roglic in first place, 2:48 down is Alejandro Valverde. Valverde says, like, I don't even know what am I able to fight for this finish? So he kind of had some downtrodden type of comments. And then today he says some things more like, Roglic has had bad legs in the third week of the Tour. Okay, let's think about that. That was in the Giro. At no point in the Giro did Roglic look like he does now. Even early on, he never had the abilities to react as he's doing this year. There's not been a crack. So the Giro, maybe not so, but people have said that about the Tour with him too. And up until last year was the first time in the 2018 Tour de France that Roglic has really tried to go for the GC there. Other than that, he's been stage hunting. And I don't think he had a bad fourth week. His fourth week might have been fine. His third week, matter of fact, I think he won like stage, was it 19 or 20 of the Tour last year? The attacking up over the top, finished it on the downhill. That's when Dumoulin and some others were complaining he was getting a ride on the motorbike. But the point is, he was strong enough to be putting in these attacks in the third week, solidified his fourth place while working for Kreuzwick. I don't know that he had a bad Tour de France third week. So not sure what Valverde is saying. Maybe he's just trying to get in his mind, in his head. But I think it's pretty hopeful for Roglic. Yesterday, up the climb, there was times where there was gaps. Like I said, there was a gap between he and Lopez and Pogacar, and it looked like maybe he's now, the commentators are looking for anything because he's been so solid in this whole race. The way that he then went to those two, back up to them when there was a gap that had formed, says a lot. And I don't see that as having seen any cracks in him yet. So we'll see what it has, what comes about, and if there's any issues that are going to be for Roglic. But I see him solidifying itself. Matter of fact, I see Lopez. So here's the top three: Roglic first, second Alejandro Valverde 2:48 behind, Pogacar 3:42 behind, Lopez 3:59, Rafael Majka 7:40, and Quintana 7:43. So with that, I don't see Quintana. I mean, he's kind of just blown himself out. Majka has been improving himself daily, but he's 7:40. So really, you have the three from second to fourth, and I could see Pogacar and Lopez doing. Now look, Pogacar's 20, first year racing in the World Tour. He won the Tour of California this year. He's beyond what you would expect for a 20-year-old or 24, 23-year-old maybe, unless you're Bernal, and going this deep. So who knows him, and he can blow extraordinarily. I do actually see Lopez. I think he, if anybody, could possibly overtake Valverde, unless Valverde is still getting baby's blood transport, eating babies directly for this kind of his vampire-like old age, being able to sustain this youth. Unless that continues, I can see Valverde losing some time and Lopez overcoming him. But we'll see. So what do we have coming up here on the actual Vuelta in this next week? Well, we got just 1 week left. We'll take a look at the profiles. So today's rest day. Then we start in, and stages 17 through 21, we have at least 2 mountain days. No more time trials, and these are somewhat shortish. I mean, you've got 220 kilometers tomorrow. It should be more of a sprinter's day. Then you've got a 4 mountain range day on Thursday, 178 kilometers. Then on Friday, it looks like you take a little hump, and then it's all downhill. So that should be another sprinter's day. So Bennett and et al. Should be able to get something. Saturday is all climbing. I mean, it looks nasty. It's got, like 3 or 4 different big peaks, summit finish, the Plataforma de Gredos. But with that, you've just got lumps all over the day. So even with the formalized climbs, it's got a bunch of other ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possible categorized climbs in there. And then 107 kilometers, Madrid, that's going to be a nothing day. So we've really got 2 GC days, 2 sprinters days, 3 sprinters days coming up in the Vuelta. And so I think Roglic can pretty much do that. All right. What would Jesus do? Well, what I'm kind of getting at there is some tactical racing segment. This is channeling Jesus Herrada instead of his brother Jose Herrada. Stage 11 winner took off with 20 kilometers on a slight climb and with a group of strong riders. He stayed away and won the day. How did he do it? Well, we're going to talk about it. Okay, behind in the break, there were better and more prominent riders. Well, first of all, who won on stage 11? Did we talk about that today? We sure did. That was after the time trial. That was Mikel Iturralde. Okay, he barely won over John Lastros, and you won over Lawson Craddock. This guy's never won a race before. There were much better, stronger, prominent racers than him behind him in the group. And this was his first stage win as a pro. First win as a pro. He wouldn't win in a bunch sprint. And so he gambled. He gambled all in, and his only chance was to go solo. Solo allowed him to focus all his efforts while the group behind played around, not wanting to take poles or attacking each other. Cavagna had a flat, and he had to chase back to the group even, showing that the efforts weren't all that considered. So he took off 20K, and he's like, I'm going all in on this one. It was perfect. And like I said, Cavagna ended up flatting. He ends up being able to get back up to the group that day, showing that the group wasn't going all out. I talked about this this happens all the time. You get someone up the road, and then there's infighting about how they're going to do it. And you don't want none of those guys want to make too much effort. If you have some sprinters in there, and if they don't have a teammate, they're not going to go all out because they're not going to want to waste all their sprint ability and their strength just so some non-sprinter can beat them. So they're not going to do it. This guy does great work. He channeled his Jose Herrada. Well done instead of the he channeled his Jesus Herrada instead of his Jose. Let's talk about that transfer market. Only got a few of them. I've been doing a search here. Neilson Powless, we're still looking for your contract. The contract watch continues. I know 2 years ago he signed with Jumbo NL at the time, now Jumbo Visma. It was a 2-year contract. Reading again about it last night, their whole idea was we're going to take this slow. We're going to take this young rider, 22-year-old or 20-year-old at the time, bring him along, get him maybe a Grand Tour in a few years. Yes, that's where. But now they've got this prospect. But this year they've loaded up their team with Tom Dumoulin. Roglic is there. He just signed. Actually, is another one he extended today through 2023. Steven Kreuzwick. You're bringing on a bunch of different riders. It's like this team is getting jam-packed, and Sepp Kuss has extended. He's been riding well. I think Neilson has been riding, for first Grand Tour rider. We talked about Sepp Kuss saying how tired he was after the first week in the Vuelta last year, and he wasn't really able to do much at all. Neilson is still there. Now, whether he's doing a ton of work, he's not Sepp Kuss in the front, but even the other day when Kuss was up winning the stage, Neilson is the one that starts on the bottom. Now everyone attacks in the field and immediately goes to like 5 riders. What's he going to do? Well, the day Sepp Kuss won, actually, he was, I think, 21st on the day. He had a good ride that day, and basically what he had said was, I just wanted to make sure that Roglic was okay, so I kept a good pace going up. It wasn't too bad. And then once the team told me over the ears, hey, we're good to go, he goes, then I wrote it in a little easier. But look, being able to be in those positions and not getting dropped climbs before, that's pretty good. Matter of fact, Bennett has been sick. George Bennett has been sick to the point where it's Sepp Kuss and Neilson Powless are kind of the last two that are there with Roglic going in. Anyway, we don't have a contract update on Neilson Powless. I imagine at 24, he should be getting 22. He should be getting a contract here somewhere for a World Tour team because he's been able to hang in pretty good. Like I said, Roglic extends through 2023. Maybe EF Education first is where Neilson Powless goes because Joe Dombrowski is just split from them, and he has been signed and announced that he's going to UAE Emirates. So that will be an interesting look. I feels like people go to EF Education first, and at least Americans in their career just kind of goes away. Joe Dombrowski has been okay. TJ goes there. TJ's been TJing as he does. Neilson, I like he and Sepp both went to NL, Jumbo, and now Jumbo Visma, because I think it's given them just a different perspective, and I think they're on a different level. And I hope that Neilson doesn't go to EF Education first, but I also hope he stays in the mix. Phil Gilbert goes back to Lotto. That's what it was. So he was with Lotto several years ago. He's going back to them. We talked about him earlier, that he's going away from Duquoin Quickstep. All right, let's talk about the NCNCA local racing. We've got Giro de San Francisco. That was Labor Day. Cole Davis, another local, shines as others crash as expected. Women's P123, Ellie Velez wins with Kristen Faulkner second, Jenny Harwig in third. So Ellie Velez, congratulations. At least that's what the results say. I don't know if it's legit, but we're saying you got the win. In the P1-2, Cole Davis wins with Zach Grotzman in second for Tarun, Roman Kalun in third of Mike's Bikes, Robert Skinner in fourth for Mike's, and Mike Hubbard of Carolina Crit Squad in fifth. Word is that was pretty. I saw Cole Davis's finish, at least a picture of it. Bike throw across the line, wheels in the air, little a la Sagan. So good for him. Cole Actionhagen team. And he did the Tour of California, did the Tour of Utah, and you can't help but come out of there with some strength. So he shows well at Winters a few weeks ago, just getting beat by Tyler Williams. It's hard to beat to win over a Tyler, but that's just what happens. And then he comes out to this race, which is a known crash / sprint fest, and it takes a lot of speed and good sprint and does it. He's a little guy too. So congrats for Cole Davis. Really good to see you representing your team and doing well on the local circuit here. Men's 35, Chris Coble, Olympic Club, gets first over Sam Benedict. I don't know how that one shook out, but Benedict has a ridiculous sprint. So I don't know if Coble got off the front. Coble can finish as well. So Coble, Bennett, Dana Williams, former national champion, Mike's Ariel Herman, current world champion, or national champion, Thirsty Bear, James Enright. James Enright, there was just something, was it track or something he just won? Was it Worlds? Someone give me an update on that. Okay, Masters 45, Jonathan Baker, current national champion for Touchstone, wins that over Chris Phipps, Thirsty Bear, Mike Sayers. No team listed. Mike, who you riding for? Are you riding for Touchstone? Are you doing die? I don't know. And I've made some assertions while you've been on the show before, so maybe we'll have to get some confirmation. Jerome Nadal, Thirsty Bear in fourth, and Sean Smith are for our Make-A-Wish. Huge results there for all those. Red Bull Bay Climb, we'll talk about that maybe in a little while. I did see some results here. Anna Mugi ended up winning for the women. I think she's won 3 times. I did see Jeff Linder was second in his, so I'm looking for a video, Jeff, coming out. Your one last year was stellar. We talked about that when you were on the show. So looking for a new video coming out for you on the Red Bull Bay Climb. I don't like the name. It's hard to say. Some things that make you go, Things that make you go, I think everyone's seen this already, but have to inform those of you who are not in the know. The Vuelta is going on, and as you see any of these races, you see drone footage or helicopter footage up above. Well, stage 8, they were going over one of these towns. There's helicopters over, looking at all these rooftops. Evidently, someone saw some marijuana plants on the roof of one of these houses. Police did a raid. They busted it, and they ended up basically confiscating, I guess, a bunch of plants. So is that the new way we're going about? This reminded me of a Cheech and Chong movie. I don't know if it was Nice Dreams, maybe. And they had an underground facility that they were doing. Now, underground was above ground. It looked like a big pool. And at one point, the police are up ahead. They're overlooking it with their helicopter, and they have just a blue tarp, so it makes it look like there's a swimming pool, but it's not, because underneath is all the plants. There's a rip, as would have it, Cheech and Chong do something and screw it up, and there's a rip in this. So to make sure that the police that are looking up there above in the helicopter don't see through, then see that it's a fake pool, they hurry and get a ladder. They get up there, they're faking swimming. Maybe I don't know if there could have been what these guys could have done with this, but And I don't know what the weed laws are over in Spain, but evidently they're enough for them to get a drug bust. Sorry, buddy. Should we talk politics and weed legalization? Tour of Britain. I just saw today, Andre van der Poel wins stage 4, takes the race lead. Who's he ride for? Circus or Circus Condon or something like that. Dude, that guy. And it reminds me, because I can't think of Van der Poel without what's the other guy's? Wout van Aert, who got injured in the Tour. I guess he's been out riding now. He was riding an e-bike, trying to get himself back in shape. But I think his crash was pretty nasty. Speaking of pretty nasty crashes, Rigoberto Urán crashed in the Vuelta, crashed out. Who else crashed out that day? Q Carthy, someone else. But the point is, he crashed out so bad, he had a 7-hour surgery. They said the collarbone, shoulder blade, ribs, his vertebrae, and lungs. He had punctured lung, I think, too. He says he's lucky to be alive. Now, personally, I haven't seen any of the photos or video of his hospital stay. And until I do, I'm skeptical that the crash is real. No, it's of course it's real. But Froome, speaking of Froome, he had to go back into the hospital. He cut his thumb and just severed a tendon. So that sounds painful, and had to reattach a tendon. So he's thumbs up for a while. They did show that one from the hospital bed, and and in defense of all the conspiracy theories, that one looked worse than the crash. But, that's because he had his arm in a sling and his thumb was bandaged. But once again, I didn't see the actual cut. I have seen pictures of him back out on his bike and his leg, and it looks, you can see the scars. So I don't know. Are those fake too? How about some winners and losers? Well, I'm American. I went to the University of Colorado. Big Sepp Kuss fan. Of course, he's a winner for this week. Stage 15, the Vuelta a Espana. But not for winning the stage. He's a winner for, if you've ever seen the podium ceremony, they do a podium, they have the presenters, they have some special person, and in the Vuelta this year, they've been handing him a beer. They hand him a beer, they all cheer, they kind of go in like this, some of the guys kind of nibble it like this, and then they just throw it in this recycle, and then they make sure, hey, look, I think it's part of the promotion is we have beer and we recycle. So putting it in this recycle bin is a big deal to the way these presenters do it, it's a little odd to see. Anyway, Sepp Kuss gets up there. Some of these guys take a sip. They kind of take another sip. They're okay with it. He comes up there and he takes a sip, and then he stays on the podium. And by the way, if you're finally get on the podium, you never know when you're going to get back. Vuelta, it's a big deal. He pounds the whole thing, one big shot. Then he puts it in the recycling thing. And I heard afterwards, cycling podcast had asked him about it. What the ABV or what the beverage, how strong of a drink was this? And he's like, he said, hey, that was a good question. I actually asked the race organizers there, what this was. And they said, oh, this was actually non-alcoholic beer. So he's like, well, no wonder I was able to take this down in one shot. Look, Sepp Kuss, pretty excited about him. Really excited about Neilson Powless, and for those two reasons, and especially those two riders, I'm pulling for Roglic in this tour, in this Vuelta. I like to see a good race. I'm not a big fan of Valverde. I'm a pretty good fan of Pogacar. He was so fun to watch at the Tour of California the last day there, and he's been fun to watch this one. I like the way Lopez rides. The shit show that Quintanna and Valverde is amazing to see. We talked last week about Soler, how he was throwing a fit and coming back. But he's been doing yeoman's work for his team. Now, when I say for his team, it's for Valverde. I think there's a huge split in that team. I think everyone, most of those riders, especially the Spanish riders, like Valverde a lot. So they have no trouble skinning the cat that is Nairo. And Soler, he may be the guy for Movistar coming up this next year. Yet to be seen. All right, so I think there's only maybe one or two races left here in Northern California. Henleyville, big race. Not a big race. I've been on the podium there. That's how big of a race it's not. But pretty cool course. So if you got that going. Anyway, if anybody has any comments, questions, please do so. Send them in to us on our Facebook page. That's how Michael Claudio got in touch with us regarding his post up. If you want to see his comments there or any of those other ones, you can check that out. Facebook page, Between Two Wheels Podcast. This has been episode 143. Really thank you. Look, you can do us a favor. Just go on there, make some comments, send them in to us on our YouTube page or Facebook page, any of the podcast services that you use for the show. Share it as well. Check us out on Twitter, that's B2W_podcast. And it's also in the description of the sheet. For Chris Mills, that's not right. For Curt Mills, Chris Flower, I'm Tyler Janke. Thank you once again.